In this video, we're going to talk about how to follow up with connections on LinkedIn. And the way we're going to do this is I'm going to use an example of how someone followed up with me. It's a really good example because he reaches out about 5 times, and in his messages, he does a lot of really good stuff. There is some room for improvement. So what I'll do is I'll break down his messages and just highlight what he did well and what he could have done better. And then I'll actually take some of his points and put it back together to create a 6 email series that could be sent to LinkedIn connections or sent over cold emails to traditional business email inboxes. So let's go through these messages one at a time, with the first message being a custom tailored invitation to connect. Then 2 days after I accept his invitation, he does send this message, and there's a lot of really good stuff here. First of all, in his first sentence, he has basically his value proposition. And then he builds on that by explaining his differentiation, how he's different from other people that he might compete with. And he explains that. So really good to focus on your differentiation. And then he goes one step further to explain what that differentiation means to me as the prospect. Then he goes on to share pain points that he can help to fix. Really great stuff there. And then he asks a question. So he doesn't really close for the meeting or close for the sale. He tries to get engaged, and I think this is good. He says, which of those would you say is your biggest priority? And one thing I like about this question is that he's given me a list of items, and then he's just asking me to pick one of those items, which is fairly easy for the other person to do. A lot of times people will send me LinkedIn cold emails that have a question, and if I were to really properly answer the question, I would have to type out a whole lot of thoughts, and you should never expect or ask a cold LinkedIn connection to spend that time answering a question that you just copy and pasted. Then 1 week passes and he sends message 2, and in this message he does something really good, which I would refer to as sharing value. Instead of trying to take from your prospect by taking their order, trying to sell them something, the opposite of that would be trying to help your prospect. And one way to do that is by sharing information, helpful information with your prospect. And so he does this in a pretty good way by sharing an article that he wrote on sleep optimization, and he includes the link. And then he starts to go in the direction of trying to close for the next step in his sales process, which sounds like it's somewhat of a health audit. So he tries to close for this by asking if I'm interested and to send over my availability. The only critique here is maybe there's a step before the health audit that he could try to close for. Maybe try to close for a conversation, a quick call, and then by getting me there, then he could try to sell me on the health audit and have that as the next step. So maybe he could tweak the sales process he's trying to go through here and improve his ability to close and get engaged. Now, 1 day later, he sends message 3. This is a little redundant from his earlier messages, where he outlines again the pain points that he helps to solve and then tries to get engaged by asking the question. Now, 3 days later, he sends me another message where he's asking me, did you notice my message? I don't like this at all. I get emails from salespeople all the time where when I don't respond, they ask me, did you read my last message? I never heard back from you on my other message. Did you notice my message? I think this is a horrible thing to do. Yes, prospects are probably not going to reply to most of your cold messages, but don't call them out or ask for the status of whether or not they read your message, whether or not they remember your message. I personally think there's not much positive to be gained from this. Yes, continue to email the prospect, but just continue to email, and you can just totally avoid the subject of the fact that they haven't responded or trying to identify whether or not they noticed it or read your other messages. And then we get to his last message, which is 4 days later. And this message is pretty good. It actually repeats a lot of the stuff he's already talked about. And I think that's okay if you don't have anything else to include in your emails. If you start to repeat, that's okay, because what he does is he repeats his value proposition. Then he talks about pain points in slightly a different way, which is pretty good. Then he shares that same article again. Not horrible, because maybe the prospect didn't read it the first time or missed the message the first time. And then he tries to set the appointment or close for a call, which I think is pretty good. And so that is his LinkedIn follow-up campaign or series of emails. And overall, I think it's pretty good. He's continuing to reach out. It's not horrible, pushy, salesy type of content. It's a good message with value, differentiation, pain points, and trying to get engaged. Pretty good stuff. What I'm gonna do now is that I'm going to take all of the good stuff that are in his messages and build off of that to create a new series of cold emails. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through our sales message brainstorming process really quickly. And it starts with identifying the product that you're selling. And his product is executive health coaching. And then the target audience for these LinkedIn messages is top-level executives. Then we want to identify, well, when we sell executive health coaching to top-level executives, what are some improvements that we can deliver? Then we can reverse engineer those improvements to think about what pain points can we make go away for those top-level executives? And then if those are pain points that we help with, what questions can we ask to see if those top-level executives have some of the pain points that we can make go away? And then maybe we can share an example of another top-level executive that we sold executive health coaching to and share that example in one of our LinkedIn cold email messages. And so when you go through this process, each of those steps actually helps you to create what we would refer to as building blocks. You end up with a value points building block, a pain points building block, a customer example building block, and so on. And then what you can do is it's very easy to create an email for each building block. And so here's what the series of emails will look like that we can create. And so email 1 is value points, then pain points, then a customer example, pain questions, product email, value points. So let me show you what these emails look like. And what I've done here to make it easier for you to kind of see what's going on and easier for you to plug in your information is I've color coded some of the different points that you can replace with your information. And there's a key here for what the color coding looks like on the right side. So the yellow text here, those are all your value points. So we use a value point for the subject line, then the bullet points in this first email are all value points, and then we go for the close by sharing another value point. And then email 2 focuses on pain points. So the green text are pain points. So we use a pain point for the subject line, the bullet points are pain points, and then the last sentence there repeats that value point. Then message 3 is a customer example, and this is where we start to use some of those different points and mix and match them to share a really quick, attention-grabbing, and easy-to-understand customer example where we share another customer that we worked with and we share the pain point that they had and that we solve that problem with our product. And then by providing that, it helped to create some benefits and improvements. And then email 4, we can use our pain questions. And so the pain questions are here in red. We actually use a pain question for the subject line, and then the bullet points are pain questions. By the way, just so we're clear here, I'm not saying to send the emails with this color coding. This is just so it can be easier for you to take these templates and use them for yourself. Email 5, we start to talk about the product. And so we introduce the product that we sell and some of the features that are included. This is a good email to outline how you're different from the competition. And then we close also with a benefit that we can deliver. And then email 6 is a last attempt email. And so we can use our value points for this email. So this is where we do start to repeat some of the stuff we've already said. And this is just sort of our walkaway email, our last attempt. And we use this last email to again emphasize the improvements that we could deliver. You could also use the same template, and instead of value points, you could put pain points there in the body of the email, talking about checking in one last time to see if they have any of these problems. And so in this example that I showed you of this LinkedIn contact, he could have sent these 6 messages instead of the messages that he sent, and I think it would have told his story a little more clearly and in a little more of an organized way, and also in a way that's not as pesky or annoying to your LinkedIn connections. And like I've already said, you could also send these emails just to a traditional email inbox as well. And so that's pretty much it. I hope that gives you some ideas of how you can modify and optimize your LinkedIn outreach. If this has helped you in any way and you want to return the favor, very easy for you to do. Simply like, comment, share this video subscribe to our channel. Any of those help us and none of those cost you anything. If you like these tips, you may want to follow us on any of these social platforms. If you like this and you want more, everything I've showed you here today is part of the SMART sales system. SMART stands for sales messaging and response tactics. So as you can see, the process that I went through to improve his series of cold emails was to create and organize his sales message, and that was the foundation of the SMART sales system, which is level 1 of the system. Level 1 is to organize and brainstorm your sales message by organizing all the key thoughts that you should be communicating. And once you do that, it's extremely easy to move to level 2 because you can mix and match all those building blocks to create your sales scripts or your series of emails, which is what we did here today. We mixed and matched those blocks to create a 6-email LinkedIn cold email series. And then once you've done that, then it's about execution. So how are we going out and mixing our cold calls and our cold emails together? What sales process are we trying to take prospects through? Now, if you want to implement and learn the SMART sales system, the great news is that you can do it all for free because it's all on YouTube. All you have to do is go to our channel, then this playlist, the SMART sales system, Sell Smarter, Not Harder, and there's a module for every component of the SMART sales system. Now, we give all that sales training away for free on YouTube because all of it aligns with the product that we do sell, called Sales Scripter. For example, Sales Scripter aligns with level 1, which is to create your sales message. There's an area of Sales Scripter called the Sales Message Builder, which takes you through that same process, making it much easier to organize all of your thoughts and all of your different sales messages. And once you've done that in Sales Scripter, the software aligns with level 2 because there's an area of the software called the Sales Playbook, which is a library of sales scripts and email templates. All those email templates that I showed you here today are in this library. So if you were to build your sales message in Sales Scripter, you would then have that same series of emails that I just showed you automatically populated with all of your bullet points and all of your information. And certainly Sales Scripter aligns with level 3, helping you with execution. We can automate all those emails that you send out, do mass emails. There's a full CRM to help you with managing those leads and contacts and opportunities. And certainly I'm available to provide consulting. In addition to all of that, I help clients with all of these levels. I help clients to brainstorm and organize their sales message, to create their sales scripts, their email messages. If that's interesting, but you still don't know what to do next, you may want to check out my book, The SMART Sales System, Sell Smarter, Not Harder, and you can get that on Amazon. Here, I'll put a link in the description. That's pretty much it. If you want more help or need more information, the best place to go is salesscripter.com. Thanks for being here. Again, hope this was helpful, and we'll see you on the next video. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.